What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anu Narayanan, and this is AP for Teens, AP Microeconomics. I know I haven't done one of these videos in a while. Aduran over here keeps on pestering me for AP Government and Politics. He likes that series a lot better than this one, but I like this series better. So take that, Aduran. I'm making these videos. Yeah, I make the PowerPoints for Microeconomics while Aduran, my imaginary friend over here, does the ones for AP Government, which is probably why those seem a little bit more humorous. But I'm trying to change that. So today's episode in AP Microeconomics, we're going to be discussing, as you can see, the questions that have to be answered with any economic system. But first, let's look at a review. Last time, I know it's been a while, but last time you're going to want to click there for that video, despite the fact that it's not supposed to appear right now. Click there for the video. Here's what we discussed. We learned about trading. We learned that trading is good when done correctly, and we learned about absolute and comparative advantages, which is all very, very good. But this episode is going to be different. This episode is going to be new. It's going to be fresh. I'm trying to stay upbeat. Woo! We're going to be answering questions. No, this isn't a poll, so don't start trying to figure out what my number is or anything like that. We're going to be answering 3 questions that really need to be answered, which are what goods need to be produced, how much input is needed to make those goods, and who gets the final products. These 3 questions are going to have a lot of vocabulary, as I said in the description, so get ready for vocab. If you've got notepads, if you've got pens, pencils, whatever you got to use them. Let's go. Open the curtains as I always do. I think I always do this at least. If not, I'm about to start always doing it, and let's begin. What are the questions? Well, we just mentioned them, but I'm going to mention them again. There are 3 important decisions that have to be made whenever having an economic system. What goods and services are going to be produced? How much of each input will be used in the production of those goods and services? And who ends up getting all the products? Alright, I'm going to listen to the guy here with the red question mark behind him. Let's start and stop asking questions. Here. Let's keep going. Let's start off with that first question. What goods and services are going to end up being produced? Well, with these, you're going to be seeking allocative efficiency, or efficiency in output. This requires that the outputs reflect the needs and wants of the consumers. Resources are going to be allocated efficiently if each good is produced until marginal cost equals marginal revenue. That is big. Marginal cost equals marginal revenue. You'll see it as MC equals MR, and that if you had to learn one thing in microeconomics, it would be that MC equals MR. Marginal cost, the cost of the next good, equals marginal revenue, the revenue obtained with the next good, as you can see right here in the small explanations of what each term means. That is the main idea of economics. Allocative efficiency is basically when price, or P, equals MC, or marginal cost. Again, marginal cost equals marginal revenue. MC equals MR. You're going to hear dozens of different times throughout just this small section that marginal cost equals marginal revenue. You'll see it in these basic concepts videos, and as we go further along in microeconomics, you're going to be hearing me over and over again saying marginal cost equals marginal revenue. So marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Big topic, big thing. Must remember that. So that's that question. How much input is used to produce each good? So when you look around, for example, when an automaker makes a car, they can use different combinations of labor and machinery being their capital. When the economy asks how much of an input to use in the production process, it's seeking technical efficiency, or efficiency in production. The price of labor is going to be your wage. Wage is a key word here. I didn't bold them on these slides, but wage is a big word here, which is the price of labor. The price of capital is the rental rate. Okay, because technically you're renting your machinery and things like that. We're looking in this situation for the cost minimizing point, where the cost is the least and you produce the most. Okay, which thereby leads us to that topic being extremely important. I would definitely listen to that hand that seems to be coming out of nowhere, which is kind of weird. But the formula for that, we need a formula for this. Okay, how do you figure out when you have technical efficiency? You do this: labor cost over capital cost, which is the same thing as saying wage over rental rate. Same thing as saying W over R, which is the same thing as saying the marginal product of capital, which is the K at the bottom, underneath the marginal product of labor. I should have worded that differently. Marginal product of labor over marginal product of capital divided by each other. Okay? That's what the equation is. If you multiply both sides of that first equation by marginal product of capital and divide both sides by W, going through a long and difficult that's a new word, difficult scenario, you eventually get this equivalent, which is definitely a lot better than that previous one. It doesn't really matter. Marginal product of capital over the rental rate is the same thing. It should be equivalent to the marginal product of labor over the wage. Okay? This formula, basically, as this guy says, that formula doesn't seem to be too bad. That formula symbolizes the idea of getting the most bang for your buck. Okay? If your marginal product of labor per dollar of wages, which is the right side, is a lot larger than the left side of the equation, then your firm should hire more labor and less capital, because labor is going to be a better value. As more labor is hired, its marginal product is going to decrease, and as less capital is used, its marginal product will increase. Therefore, you're going to be making one of them rise, one of them fall, until they eventually equal each other. When they do equal, the firm's going to achieve efficiency in production. Now, maybe you don't understand all of these. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to be having another video soon where you're actually going to be able to see my face as I do this stuff on a whiteboard, hopefully with a lot more examples, a lot more in-depth explanations of scenarios, and hopefully be able to make sure that you guys understand this topic. But if you don't, that's okay. Rewatch this section if you want. Just go back and scroll back, click on the minute mark, whatever time it was, and I would definitely advise rereading this section over and over again in your study books, watching this video over again, and watching the video that I'll be posting soon with me and it giving a bunch of different examples. But that formula is basically the formula for technical efficiency. None of that matters at this point when we talk about this question. That's a separate question. This one, who receives the final product? Well, distributive efficiency or efficiency in exchange determines that when an economy asks basically who gets the final product. It's achieved when consumers make purchases maxing their utility given their budget. So, marginal utility, which is MU, is the additional utility from the last unit. And marginal utility, we're trying to maximize that. This is the original formula that you have, which shows when you maximize marginal utility. When your marginal utility of good A divided by the price of good A is the same as marginal utility of good B divided by the price of good B. Alright, this eventually turns into, when you do some more math with that, the price of good B over the price of good A should be equal to the marginal utility of good B over the marginal utility of good A. That right side of the equation that you see with the MUs and all that, that's the marginal rate of substitution. Alright, the formal condition for distributive efficiency is that the marginal rate of substitution has to be equal for every consumer. Okay, so the MRS for a guy named Chris is going to be the same as the MRS for a guy named Madurin. And you'll understand that if you watch my other series with Pokemon challenges. With consumers facing the same prices, your price of good B over price of good A is going to be the same for every consumer. And if all consumers maximize their utility by calculating their MRS to that price ratio, then everyone's going to have the same MRS, and distributive efficiency will be achieved. Let's review really quickly. What goods are going to be produced? The produced goods are going to be what's at allocative efficiency, when P equals MC, price equals marginal cost. How much of each input is going to be used in the production? When this equation becomes equal, which is this one that showed marginal product of capital divided by the rental rate is equivalent to the marginal product of labor divided by the wage. And who ends up getting the products? As we just discussed, when utility for consumers is maximized and PB over PA is equivalent to the marginal utility of B over marginal utility of A. Thank you very much for watching this episode of AP Microeconomics on AP for Teens. Please do one of the following: subscribe, leave a comment, and or like in the section below. And I hope to see you next time on another episode of AP Microeconomics.